Welcome, friends. Today we'll be traveling through space and time all the way back to the wonderful age of rebirth in the 15th century. And by rebirth, of course, I am speaking of the fantastic era of the Renaissance. Let us first look at the place most known for its achievements in the time, Florence, Italy. Ah, yes, Florence during this golden era, a time of reawakening interest in Greek and Roman values and art. A time of great knowledge and new age thinking spread like a wildfire as fast as the newly invented printing press would allow. Humanism, the idea that thinkers, writers, and artists made men, not God. A time where the human body was glorified and human intellect was capable of unlocking the deepest mysteries of nature. People were now able to think for themselves and were more capable of questioning the authenticity of ideas.
What a fraud!
There was an enlightenment in many new things such as
mathematics,
Science!
music, athletics, and with all the new ideas, the Catholic Church had to try and maintain power, causing many people like this.
I hope I get the job. I'm gonna go to church and pray and ask God to give it to me.
make sure you put in your earnings, or the church will not give you anything in return.
Yes, because the church allows me to breathe.
Into people like this.
It's not fair how the church controls our emotions and teaches us false things.
I know, and all the money you put into it for nothing.
And of course, how could we talk about the Renaissance without talking about the great Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raphael? Wait, not them. Well, I suppose that's, a little bit better. Let us start with this handsome fellow, Michelangelo, one of the greatest sculptors of all the time. He brought deep emotion to all of his work and depicted his subjects with scientific accuracy in both his paintings and his sculptures alike. I mean, who else can say that they covered the Sistine Chapel in their art? Not this guy, Leonardo da Vinci, a man who is not arguably one of the most recognizable faces in art. With paintings such as The Last Supper and the Mona Lisa, he has forever secured his place in history. Can anyone crack the code? Just what is she smiling about? Then there's this guy, Raphael, the most popular of the Renaissance painters. He was best known for his many Madonnas, which are warm and graceful. And last but certainly not least is Donatello. He studied ancient art remains in Rome and can be credited for producing David, the first nude sculpture of the Renaissance. Oh my Ninja Turtle, that was a lot of art. Let's talk about what was going on outside of Italy at the time. Yes, people, there was other things going on outside of Italy, if you can believe it. One guy in particular, by the name of William Shakespeare. Maybe you've heard of him. Yeah, well, he was busy writing his plays. Plays that almost every big storyline to this day has somehow ripped off. And of course, there was that one play.
Romeo, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo?
Go.
'Tis the East, and Juliet is my son.
Romeo and Juliet. Just gets me every single time. Speaking of all these men from the Renaissance, I almost forgot about the ladies. Angela Sola was a noble woman from an Italian family in Cremona. Her father encouraged her to study painting, and her work for Philip II of Spain won her many honors and privileges, including the position of lady-in-waiting to the court. While yes, Angela Sola painted portraits, many women were only allowed to paint still lifes and plants. Let's talk now for a moment about an invention that has changed the course of how the world works, even today. The printing press was probably the greatest invention of its time. This made books cheaper and easier to afford for the poor. This in turn caused many poor citizens who could not read before to learn how to read. The printing press was invented in Germany by a man named Johann Gutenberg. He invented it in 1440. It was the greatest invention of that time period because the church could not lie about things that were written in the Bible. This was the major factor for increase in knowledge. An average printer could print 500 books in the same time as a monk took to make one. Alright, let's see. We talked about humanism, Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, Raphael. We talked about women artists, Shakespeare, the printing press, Greek and Roman influence, and the Catholic Church. Yeah, that's about the Renaissance in a nutshell. Next stop, early modern times.